The biggest challenge we've heard customers talk about in terms of project management is the ability to actually track a project from start to finish along with actual numbers. We do time tracking in TimeTracker, and that's great, but it would be phenomenal if we could actually plan out a project and then apply the time, track the time on each of those tasks along the way. And that's exactly what our project management module does. It gives you the ability to do some traditional project management. You could call it standard waterfall model in projects where there are 2 or 3 people managing the project, and there might be 5, 8, 10 people out there executing it. It's that kind of situation that we're best at, which is why if you look at the project management module that we have, it has a couple of interesting things, not a lot of fancy stuff, but the stuff it does well, it does extremely well. For example, you start with a My Tasks tab and an All Tasks tab. Now, I don't have anything for the current time frame, so you don't see any data, but we'll go back and look at how that could work. You could filter out the data. You could say task start time. You could go out and say last 120 days and so on and so forth, and you will probably see some data there. You'll see some data, right? And that's because in this particular project that I'm looking at, it's all from November, December, and I haven't updated my project yet. Let's ignore that, move on. So that's kind of the dashboard. With the dashboard is a nice little Gantt chart. The Gantt works just like any other Gantt. You can go in and add a task right here for as a subtask for webinar projects, or you can go out and create a top level task by clicking on this. All of those things. It gives you a start date. Let's take a look at an existing task, right? It has a title, it has a task or milestone, so you could set up milestones, start date, end date, the duration, how many hours this particular task will take, and what our progress at this point is. If you look at the assignments, there are 2 people already assigned here. They show up here, Bob Coulter and Julia Richard, and you could add more assignments, more people from your team, people who report to you, that you could actually show right there as assignments. That's essentially what the Gantt chart does, just like any other Gantt chart. There are critical paths, resources views, change to a monthly, so on, monthly view or a quarterly view. And everywhere you go, you have a little icon which will take you to support articles and maybe even submit a ticket if you find a problem with that. One other nice little thing about the Gantt is you can actually apply a template. There are a bunch of templates we provide, but you could create your own template, and there's a whole different user interface for that. When you apply this template, the tasks from that template get added to this project, and then you can manage it just like any other task in this project. That's one step, right? That's as far as the Gantt goes. Second, there is a tab for a Kanban board, and the Kanban board is just like any other Kanban board, right? Drag and drop in the stages that you've got in the project, go edit a task, the usual things, put some tags, standard stuff that you would do with project management Kanban. And finally, a resources view. This resources view is really cool because not only does it show you the tasks assigned by people, right? You scroll down here and you see all the people in your project that have been assigned any tasks. Not only does it show you that, if you have our PTO module, it'll actually show you the days that somebody is signed up for PTO. It'll show you overloading in terms of more than 8 hours a day or more than 40 hours a week, that kind of stuff. So all those things come together on the standard project object that is in TimeTracker. So you could go create a project, build tasks, assign those tasks, and when you assign tasks to people, when they track time, they will see those tasks assigned to them. And then you can go back and say, okay, this particular task, take a look at this one, right? Let's say create webinar invitation. It's supposed to last for 5 days, and we have some number of hours assigned to it. We haven't put any here, but let's say we put 20 hours to it, right? And you go out and say, of these 20 hours, how many hours have actually been time allocated, how many have been recorded as time against that case, that particular task. And therefore, you could do some very interesting reporting, actually track your project as it executes. So you're not just, finger in the eye talking about how much progress your project has done. You can actually say, this project, I set aside 200 hours, and now we actually spent 120 hours. I think we're 60% done.